Hi, friends. So, who thought that Donald Trump might have gone through with a nuclear option for this recent threat that he's made um, on Iran? Um, I thought it's possible, but I still don't think we're out of the woods yet. I feel like uh, the U.S. cannot be trusted, and neither can the other side of the coin, the genocide heirs, Israel. The Israeli regime cannot be trusted. Full stop. I mean, they've never been able to be trusted with any sort of agreements they've had. Really, it's the only way that they work is if it's convenient for them, and if it's not convenient, then they break whatever it is that they might have made an agreement on. At this point, they're so sort of desperate to in the flailing death rattles of empire. They're so desperate uh, to still try for full spectrum dominance that they're prepared to do whatever they can to 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 basically, try for full spectrum dominance, even though militarily it's not really possible at this point. They're out of missiles in many cases because they've been doing the war, feeding the U.S. proxy war against Russia, and they've sort of run out of essential ammunition to be able to even do it, and they don't have the troops to do it either. As someone said, I think it was Larry Wilkinson said that, no, Larry Johnson, sorry, said they need about 1 million, troops to be able to do what they supposedly want to do, and even then, that would not be successful. So empire, like all empires in the past, have bitten off more than they can chew. They're an overstretch and collapse, and that's what we're witnessing now. I hope Iran doesn't make the mistake of thinking that any of this is real, this ceasefire, because just like the supposed Gaza ceasefire, it's never really a ceasefire. And the Israeli regime will make sure through some kind of false flag that, that it doesn't hold. And I mean, does anybody really believe anything they're doing anymore? I don't think so. I don't even think, the MAGA crowd kind of believe what Trump says anymore. And that's kind of quite a cult that they've got going there. The worry is that this is the only way it could have gone, really. I've been saying this for a few years now. It's the only way this could have gone is when the empire and its accomplice, Israel, are stopped. That's the only way this is going to end. I don't believe that it will end in a mushroom cloud for all of us, just like in domestic violence situations, how many men choose to take out everybody when they take themselves out. And the parallels are very interesting in a patriarchal society. And the same with empire. I think it will either decide to take everybody out in a huge mushroom cloud that ends most life on Earth, including non-human animals, and they have nothing to do with anything. They're just, they're just trying to live their life, and they're being exploited and killed by the billions every year. So non-human animals are the greatest victims here on the planet. So anyway, for me, it's always going to have ended this way, where they're either going to take us all out, or another power, like say Russia or China, or the two together are going to take the US out, or watch them continue to make mistakes until they destroy themselves, which is what they're doing. That Sun Tzu thing of don't interfere when you see your enemy, making mistakes. Well, it's kind of like that. You could kind of just let them run out of ammunition, let them run out of unfortunately poverty draft soldiers, let them run out of any sort of goodwill that may have been left on the planet. Which I'm kind of shocked, really, that the Australian government is still hanging on to this failing empire. That it's so sad to me. I thought to see the Australian government become this way, that they're propping up genocide heirs and inviting them over, and all of that, and still hanging on to this crumbling empire. I mean, we should be joining BRICS and joining, peaceful, the peaceful global majority, but instead we're hanging on to this demented, sadistic empire and its accomplice, the genocide heirs, Israeli regime. So anyway, but as I said, I just feel like this is how this is the only way it could end up. It's like the lancing of a terrible boil, and I feel like this is where we're at now. This is something that's been coming for many, many decades, since particularly World War II, and now we're at the point where we're watching a very, very dangerous point in history. And I hope that Iran doesn't ever trust the US again, and hopefully Iran will be doing its best to obtain a nuclear weapon for deterrent reasons. I mean, DPRK was smart enough to do that. If DPRK had not had nuclear weapons, the US would have dismantled them and destroyed them by now, and would be, sending in private institutions to take over. It's unfortunate that this is where it is. It's unfortunate that we have humans on the planet who are behaving this way, who hate themselves so much and are so unhappy that having wealth, nothing is ever enough for them. This is what you could say about capitalism. I mean, this is all in they want everything in the hands of a small amount of people, and they don't want anybody else to have anything. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy, that kind of rhetoric. And that's not what it really means. You'll own nothing and you'll be begging for food. That's really what that means. They're not interested in anybody else but this small cabal of the Epstein class, the tech billionaires who want to basically control everybody and get rid of poor people, or as the Nazis used to call them, useless eaters. That's all we are now, is useless eaters. Everybody, including people who thought that they were going to be protected. A lot of white people in the United States thought that they would be on the side of the, they would be protected. And just like the brown shirts were during the Nazi period, the brown shirts, when they weren't useful anymore, were knocked off. That's really all I wanted to say. It's very sad. I hope that Iran does not get nuked at some point, but I don't really know if I really feel like they're losing so badly. They've made such grave mistakes militarily and underestimating Iran that Israel may resort to that, and Israel and the US work in tandem. In many ways, I don't see them as separate. They're just like, they're really the same. It's just one is being used to do really demented stuff under this so-called protection of, we're Holocaust survivors and therefore we can do anything we want, or we're the chosen people or whatever. That's sort of crazy, just crazy that, and most of those people that are in Israel are from all sorts of different countries. They've come in to get free land, free stolen land from Palestinians. And the minute there's some sort of a problem, they're off. They've got double passports. And so a lot of people who came to get stolen land from indigenous Palestinians have left. And I feel like Israel along with the US as its bully accomplice, are going to do their best to take over as many countries as possible. This is watching, the Nazis in action right now in real time. This is a Hitler-esque move that's happening. And what are we doing? No, the Uni Party in the US is really doing nothing, twiddling its thumbs, and because they're okay with it ultimately. Most in the Uni Party, both sides, are just fine with what's happening. And the unelected government, the CIA, and the billionaire capitalist class, the Epstein class, they're all fine with what's happening. Nobody is introducing Article 25 to remove Trump. And of course, Trump is not the problem. Trump is just a front puppet. Look at the last front puppet they had. He could barely speak and he was stumbling all over the place. And Trump is just, a narcissist a major narcissist who doesn't seem to have a moral center. Even Jeffrey Epstein, of all people, said that about Trump, that he doesn't seem to have any moral center. And that's saying something from a major pedophile like Jeffrey Epstein. So they're just front puppets, though, and it's really the unelected government that's seamless through all these different administrations. They're the ones that are running the whole thing, the banks, the Jamie Dimons and all of this, Goldman Sachs, all these different institutions are the ones that are driving these capitalist wars, and the CIA is the invisible army of capitalism, as Doug Valentine said. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here, so let's have good thoughts for Iran that they prevail over this illegal, immoral war of choice, one of dozens and dozens of meddling and wars and attempting to overthrow or successfully overthrowing that the US has been engaged in, particularly since the World War II, and let's hope that Iran and all other the others in the global majority that are not doing this, let's hope that we all prevail over this dreadful sadistic empire. At 66 years old, I've really had enough, and I'm a white person in Australia, and our government here has been a US lackey for a long time. But we're not, fortunately at this stage, we're not being bombed and having the dreadful things that a lot of Muslim and Arab countries have been suffering through, and in Latin America. But I'm so sick and tired of it. I'm sure you are. It makes me sick every day to see the suffering that they cause, what is happening in Gaza still, the genocide, the 680,000 that have been killed and bombed, mostly children. I mean, they've normalized genocide now. They've normalized bombing hospitals and schools and so forth. It can't go on. It can't go on. And we, any normal human being, anybody who's got any sort of humanity left, can't be okay with this. This is just disgusting. It's appalling. There are no words for it, and I can hardly believe that this is where we're at now. It's so hideous. So we can't let this go on, and we've got to do whatever we can to bring this to an end, to bring empire to an end, and have some sort of semblance of sanity in the world, some peace. There can't be any peace while U.S. empire exists, and while Israel is doing what it's doing. They're both doing Hitler-esque moves all over the place. I mean, look at what's happened in Lebanon right now. They bombed a whole village today. A whole village in South Lebanon. Anyway, it can't go on, so we have to do what we can. Today, Dee and I went down to our usual place at the roundabout in the nearest town, and we did a protest because I wasn't sure at our 10 p.m., which is when Trump said he was going to do something to end civilization in Iran. We thought we would go down before that happened and do a protest, taking our Iranian flag and our Palestinian flag. And so we were there, and then we saw this supposed ceasefire, which it's just Trump lying once again. I don't think the Iranians are silly enough to believe anything he says, and neither is Russia and China. So hopefully they'll be getting a nuclear weapon together during this so-called ceasefire, and maybe that can be a deterrent. I don't know. Who knows? But it's just going to continue being ugly, just awful and disastrous until empire ends, and the sooner it ends, the better. And along with that horrific, hateful, genocidal, ethno-supremacist state, Israel. I mean, it's so toxic. I can't imagine it surviving this with how it is. Anyway, thanks for listening. Let's keep going, and don't lose hope. I think there's something on the other side. If we don't end up in a mushroom cloud, something good is going to happen after this. Okay, bye for now.